Welcome to our weekly affirmation. So, this week's affirmation is I allow change to happen in my life. As always, I have two questions with me, and we'll discuss this question after saying the affirmation 3 times. You can tell me in the comments how that made you feel, and you can also answer the questions in the comments below or in your private journal. This week, I'm also not going to answer the question. Maybe next week. So let's get into it. So to say the affirmation, try to find a comfortable position. This can be seated, standing, or lying down. And you can bring your hand to have some sort of skin-to-skin contact. And that should help, make it more real for your mind. I'm going to put my hand on my chest and my stomach, my tummy. So I have a direct skin-to-skin contact. And I'm going to say the affirmation 3 times. I allow change to happen in my life. I allow change to happen in my life. I allow change to happen in my life. How did that feel for you guys? Write that in the comment and tell me. So to the question, how am I with change? I believe we all have to ask ourselves this question at some point in time, and we all have to seek out an answer for this question. Because as humans, we're basically the embodiment of change, but we're not good with it. We fight it. We sometimes don't understand why it's happening in the first place. But the truth is, on a human level, sometimes change doesn't make sense. But on a soul level, it makes sense because we are the one orchestrating it. We decided that we wanted this. That could happen before we came to this earth or while we live in the experience, while we're doing the human experience. We decided on the change. We just haven't communicated it with ourselves on the 3D level. Or sometimes we already have, but because we're so unsure about what exactly it's going to bring and how it's going to look like, we keep fighting it. But we shouldn't. Because change is inevitable. It happens. It happens to us all, and it's a must that it happens. Because, like I said, we humans, we're basically the embodiment of change. And if something that is the embodiment of change doesn't change, it's odd. Don't you guys think so? So I would say, let's not fight change. Let's accept it. Because the truth is, when we fight change, it becomes more hard on us. And this could lead to some extreme situations that are most of the time unfavorable. They're not favorable at all. They're not favorable at all. But if we keep fighting it, and this change has been agreed on a soul level, so we are going to experience it anyway, and we keep fighting it, we're going to find ourselves in situations that it just makes you want to give up. To put it bluntly, some situations just make you want to give up. So before we get to such extreme, let's just accept it and see where it takes us. But notice, every change that is happening in your life is happening for you. It's not happening against you, even if on the 3D level it doesn't make sense. But it's happening for you, because once you have undergone this change, right, you find yourself in a different place, and most of the time, that's exactly where you're supposed to be. You're supposed to grow. Growth needs change. Stagnation doesn't need change. And as humans, we need to grow. It's part of who we are. So if you find yourself constantly fighting change, then stop to ask yourself this. What am I afraid of this particular change? Try to find an answer to that. Be honest with yourself. Honesty helps. But find an answer to that. And most likely you will soften up. And then you allow change to just happen. Because once you allow change to happen, the transition is much easier on a certain level. I'm not saying it's not going to hurt. It's not going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be whatever it needs to be. But the transition will be easier and quicker. So allow change to happen in your life because you are an embodiment of change. So to the second question, am I content with my current situation? I believe this is a very important question to ask and one that we should answer as well. And we should answer honestly. Because most of us, we think we're content with our situation. We're content with our life the way it is. But the truth is, we're just complacent. We just don't want to move because it's going to require some effort. And sometimes we have clinged to certain things and we have defined ourselves through those things that we can't imagine ourselves to be anything more than what we already are. But we're humans. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. And in the human experience, change is the only constant. Change is the only way to grow. Change is the only way to see just how far you can take it. So if we just become complacent, and that is not what we actually came here to do with this current consciousness, with this current name, with this current mind, change is going to try to bulldoze its way into our life. And if we keep rejecting it, life is going to feel odd and not a comfortable oddness. So I find it best to ask myself this question whenever I'm faced with change. Is like, am I content with my life? If nothing changes in my current life, will I be okay? If I answer no, I'm taking whatever is coming in at that moment. If I answer yes, then I want to check in as well to see that this yes is actually coming from a place of love, of wanting to grow, and not from a place of complacency. So it is very important to be honest with yourself when you face change. Because, seriously, honestly, ask yourself this question right now. If nothing changes in your life, are you going to be okay with it? Be honest while you answer this question. If nothing changes in your life right now, are you going to be okay to live this life for 20, 30, 40, 50 years? And now, keep in mind that we human beings, we do not like it when it's dull. That's why we always create drama. Because we cannot stand the dullness. Because we are a creature of change. It's just part of who we are. So, yeah. Make sure that when you live life, make sure when you say no to change, that you're living life at the fullest. That you're living life at the most exciting. You're living life at the most of what you define to be the greatest. And make sure your definition is rooted in love, in growth towards yourself, for yourself, and not in stagnation and comfort. Comfort is good, but not complacent comfort. So seriously, ask yourself, if nothing changes in my life, am I gonna be okay? Am I still gonna live life to the fullest? If the answer is no, take on that change. And if the answer is yes, be sure that that comes from a place of love towards yourself. So those were the questions that I have to this affirmation. And if you like, you can say the affirmation with me right now again. I allow change in my life. I allow change in my life. I allow change in my life. If you guys need an angel number reading or idolmancy reading or consultant regarding mental health or just want someone to listen to you, want an open ear, then check out my website. The link is down in the caption below. Have a blessed week. Bye.